Let's discuss a few principles that will guide us through and beyond a crisis. Planning ahead or anticipating the crisis, rehearsals, a never quit attitude, perspective, faith, calling in the enablers, time, prioritizing, and triage. In life, as in war, experiencing a crisis is inevitable. You may be driving down the road and then all of a sudden an improvised explosive device blows up the car in front of you and you're now in the fight for your life. Or you may be driving down the street and all of a sudden a drunk driver T-bones you and you're now in the fight for your life. You may simply be the victim of a natural disaster, a brain tumor that comes out of nowhere, or even an unexpected death of a loved one. No matter how hard we try to prevent or avoid these life-changing situations, we are always vulnerable to them. And no matter how hard we try to mitigate their consequences, we must all continue through them. Let's discuss a few principles that will guide us through and beyond a crisis. In special operations, we do contingency planning before every mission. We anticipate what could go wrong and we plan ahead. Perhaps someone will get shot, will be sick, or get killed. Perhaps there will be more bad guys on the objective than planned. Perhaps the helicopter will have a malfunction and can't fly. It's always important to anticipate what could go wrong. Life's biggest threats are financial, health, and safety. We plan ahead for a financial crisis by making good decisions with our money, having a retirement plan, diversifying, and buying assets, not liabilities. We try to avoid health emergencies by eating and sleeping well, through regular exercise, and by staying fit. We maintain our safety by driving a big car with airbags, by living in a good neighborhood, and by following the 10 p.m. rule. One way to plan ahead for a crisis is to make a last will and testament, a medical directive, and a medical power of attorney. If you're going to die, or worse, then please be loving and make it easier on those left behind. Sadly, I've seen too many people die without a last will or a medical directive. Imagine someone you love is in the hospital, kept alive only by machines. She didn't leave a medical directive which said what to do in such a terrible situation, and she didn't leave a will which states how to divide up her possessions. The family is in shock, and they have no idea what to do. They argue and they fight, making the terrible situation even worse. All of this could have been avoided if she would have prepared for a crisis by writing a will and a medical directive. Once you have a contingency plan, you need to rehearse it. The best and most simple example is a fire drill. Rehearsals are one of the essential tasks that Special Operations Forces do to ensure success. If we think that the primary radio system may not work because of distance, then we rehearse using the alternate means of communication. If we anticipate taking casualties, then we rehearse carrying a team member 500 meters to the helicopter pickup zone, or PZ. If you see a calamity coming, then plan ahead and rehearse it. If you're worried about the electricity going out for a week, then stock up on food, water, and supplies, and rehearse living without electricity for 7 days. If you're afraid of getting robbed or kidnapped, then you need to rehearse your self-defense techniques. One way of not being a victim is to make the decision that you will not be a victim. You must have a never quit attitude. Even in the shadow of the darkest crisis that you can face, you must know deep down that you can survive it. Losing a teammate or a loved one is terrible, but life goes on, and you must make a decision to never quit on yourself. Losing everything you own is terrible, but life goes on, and you must make a decision to never quit on yourself. And this takes us to perspective. Some people are not capable of putting things in perspective. They only think about themselves, and they're incapable of looking beyond themselves. They are looking at life through a sniper scope. Others have their heads up and are able to see the big picture. During a crisis, seeing the big picture is the best way to endure. When you are able to see the big picture, your suffering or hardship doesn't seem so big. Yes, you will have stress, but seeing the big picture will remind you that you will endure through the end. Yes, your life may seem dark, but life is precious, life is special, and so it must go on. This is not the right time or venue to preach to you about faith, but I will say that having faith in God and knowing and living your life in accordance with biblical principles is the ultimate source of strength and peace, and with it, you are always victorious. When troops are in a firefight in the middle of a war zone, the Tactical Operations Center immediately notifies the Combined Aviation Operations Center, or CAOC, to ensure that close air support and medevac support are in the area or en route. Having A-10s or Apaches provide close air support is a simple way to turn the odds in your favor. So when you are fighting a crisis at home, you better call in the enablers. Call those people in your life who bring valuable knowledge and experience to the team. Ask for help from your neighbor who is a lawyer. Have your minister stop by for dinner twice a week. Hire a maid to take care of the household chores so you can spend more time at the hospital. You never want to have a fair fight when you are going through a crisis. Stack the team in your favor. Stack the odds in your favor. Enlist every possible source of strength and experience you can. Time is the word that man uses to explain the power that makes things change. Although there are infinite possibilities and things to do, we only have a finite amount of time. It is barely tolerable to waste your time during a normal day. But during a crisis, every second counts. You can't afford to waste your time. This is why I recommend rehearsals. It helps make you more efficient and effective. Don't waste your time. And this leads us to prioritization. Let's say, for example, that you do 20 things a day. During a crisis, you must be focused on survival, on victory, on endurance. This means that you may only have time for 5 things a day. Do a daily triage and drop the less important tasks. Identify and prioritize what needs to be done and do it. Cut away what is essential and free yourself to focus on the more important things. No matter how hard we try to prevent or to avoid a life-changing crisis, we are always vulnerable to them. No matter how hard we try to mitigate their consequences, we must all continue through them. Don't forget to plan ahead and anticipate a future crisis. Rehearse your contingency plan. Have a never-quit attitude. Try to see the big picture. Have faith in God's love. Lean on friends and family and experts to support you. Don't waste your time and focus only on what is really important. Thanks for watching. I hope you are now more capable of planning for and working through a life-changing crisis. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more and to forward to a friend who needs to see this. Life is a special operation. Are you ready for it?